My first experience with molestation was from a neighborhood man who lived around the street from my grandmother in Providence. And a lot of us kids used to, when we would play outside, he would be that neighbor who, would let us in for something to drink. He might fix us a hot dog, might give us a snack. He was just that neighbor that was, kind of nice to us, or portrayed to be nice. But after a while, after he got us comfortable with being there and coming there, the more we came, we started to, I started to see him getting a little bit more touchy feely. He did touch me between my legs in my private area. He never tried to penetrate me or anything. He was just more of that touchy feely, between your legs, your breast area, and things like that. And yes, he did do it to some of the other kids that used to play out as well, and I witnessed that. Another neighbor that lived right next door to my grandmother, we used to go over and play with his grandchildren. They were a couple of years older than us, which, well, they were out with my age. They were the same age as like maybe my older brother and my older sister. They wasn't too far apart. But we all just used to play together. We would go over, play board games, Uno, things like that. And it was good for us kids. We had a good childhood because we were playing together. But it was times when, I could remember going over to get ready to play, and maybe the kids wasn't there, knocking on the door and him saying come in. And I remember this long dark, when you walk through the door, was a long dark hallway, and walking down that hallway, sometimes he would be in the bedroom in the front, or sometimes he would be in the kitchen, and he would always have like these crates of chocolate milk. And of course, little kids, we like chocolate milk. So he'll be offering you the chocolate milk, and like he'll be reaching it to you. But as he's reaching it to you and you trying to reach to it, he's back and back trying to guide you into the bedroom. He never got an opportunity to do any molestation to me because I would always run. I would always just leave the chocolate milk and just run. I mean, he was kind of scary to me anyway. So, and he used to also too. I can remember my grandmother. The way that they lived, like you can come from the side of their house or the back of their house to the back of our house. And I can remember my grandmother was blind, and my aunt was disabled. So I can remember him coming in the back door and trying to fumble around with her, and my grandmama would hear him, and she would yell out, yell his name out and tell him to get out. I know what you doing back there. So, like people knew what type of men were in that neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? They just was older and, just really not paying attention like that. Not really, really, really putting a stop to it. Like I said, everybody was considered as family and stuff like that. But it's just some things that you just really got to, put your foot down. Because I know I was not the only one that it was happening to. I was not the only one. And, this was going on. I was adopted at the time. So this was going on during the time when I used to come over and visit. And, to play with my sisters. And then, of course, the neighborhood kids. In the home of my adoption, I was made to perform oral sex on two of my girl cousins and one of my boy cousins. Another cousin, he wasn't my blood cousin. He was just a nephew of my great aunt, and he came over to visit one time, and he laid me on the floor and he tried to penetrate me. His penis was very huge, so he was unable to penetrate me because I was moving around and I was squirming and I was kind of like, it was hurting. So he didn't get the opportunity to penetrate me, but he was trying. I was not the only one there. It was other cousins there too that knew what was going on. I probably was around 9 or 10 at the time. They were teenagers. Like I said, my only message through this right here is that this happened to me because my mother and my father felt like this was the best thing for me, because that my mom and dad had separated. My mom had 4 kids. My dad, he had moved on and gotten married and things like that, and they felt like this was a good opportunity for me to have a better life. However, things just didn't work out that way. Things were happening to me sexually. I was introduced to porn by my teenage cousins. They used to sit down and watch porn right with me. So I didn't feel like anything was wrong. As I got older, I realized that it was wrong. I was very embarrassed. I didn't want to talk about it. I was shamed. Those are the things that people be like, well, why you didn't tell somebody? Why you didn't say nothing then? Like, if you young, you really don't even know that is wrong. That's just like if you teach your child, you've always taught your child to read books, then your child's going to become a lover of books. If this child is being taught to watch porn, and this child is being taught that being touched on is the norms, you know what I'm saying, and they're given incentives, they feel like it's okay. They feel like that's the right thing to do, so they're not going to jump and run and go and tell anybody, because, of course, when they're hungry again or when they're thirsty again, they're going to want that drink, just like when we was out there playing in the high heat. And we are way around the corner playing, and here this is a man in the neighborhood that's allowing us to come in and get something to drink or get a bite to eat. Like you just don't, your mindset is just not on it to just go home and say it's wrong, because you don't know that it's wrong. And a lot of kids carry behaviors into their adulthood, even when it comes to relationships, because they feel like just because a man is taking care of them or a man gives them something, that's love, or they're showing that genuine concern. So we have to be mindful of our children's surrounding. We have to, even if it's family members, because it usually happens right there with family members and people that are in your inner circle, in your neighborhood, family. So, pay attention to the ones that are being extra nice to your children. Talk to your children. Ask those questions. And I know that it's hard to have that conversation with your child at a certain age. And some of us just do not want to have that conversation. Kind of like I didn't want to have that conversation with my children about sex, or go and put them on birth control, because I'm like, this is going to make them want to have sex or make them feel like it's okay to have sex. Listen, I would rather be safe than sorry. I would rather sit down and ask those questions and have that conversation with my children than to wait around for something to happen and have that conversation after, and have to hear my child talk about what somebody has done to them. So the world that we live in today, I'm 36 years old, and this was happening to me 25 to 30 years ago. So it's sad to say, but you have to have these conversations with your children. So do that. Adoption can be a beautiful thing, but adoption can be a terrible thing as well. I went through a lot as a child within that adoption. I went through a lot, mentally, physically, everything, and like I said, it's hurtful to when you think back on it, and I've had people that wanted to adopt my children, and just thinking back with what I went through, it was a no. I tried to do whatever I could. I got married at an early age. I tried to set up a foundation to be able to have a family for my children. I was a teen mom early age, and just trying to do the best thing that I could do for my situation and what I had going on, but also to break those cycles. So yeah, that's molestation was a part of my childhood, you guys. And I know it's a lot of people out there children that may be going through it right now, scared to tell it, or went through it, scared to talk about it. You're an adult now and ashamed to talk about your molestation. You got to heal from that. You got to tell your story, because we got to help other people that's out there. We got to help the children that don't have a voice to speak out. So I thank you all for listening again today with my childhood part 2. And I'll be back with my childhood part 3. Thank y'all again, and y'all have a great day.